Welcome back everyone. In my last tutorial I showed you how to make the rocks with the molds, and I showed you how I tried it with the tin foil. So today is gonna be a tutorial about how I do the paint jobs on these. I'm not gonna paint all the rocks, I'm just gonna show you two different ways how I do it. And well, hope you enjoy it. Let's go. So, first things first. Like I said, two identical rocks, which I made, going to be painted. And I wanted to try it on that tin foil one. Because I want to use two painting techniques, I'm going to break it up. Because I'm just going to use it for this video. At least I'm going to try to break it up. Yeah, that's how it works. So, now we can get going. So, first of all, I'm gonna give this rock a base coat. With that base coat, I'm gonna use basalt gray. I have some water in here. Just gonna drip a little bit of basalt gray in there. Not too much. Just a little bit so it stays runny. Let me check if that's gonna be correct. I think I need a little bit more paint. Yeah, it's too diluted. That's no problem. Just a little bit more paint with it. So, here we go. I'm gonna see if that's gonna be better. Just give it another stir. And this looks, yeah, that looks fine to me. Just make sure the pigment is, you know, really stirred well with the water. Because otherwise you're gonna have some, you know, crazy looking spots on your rocks. Anyway, here we go. You can just let it drip. I'm gonna clean this up for a second. Because I see there's still pigment on my brush. And of course it doesn't need to be there, because otherwise you will get the spots. So, clean brush. And just let that water drip all over your rock. Like this. You don't really have to paint it. As you can see, it just goes over the rock. Smooth and easy. And you can see it's pretty dark. But that's the way I like it, because afterwards I do the dry brushing. And in my opinion, the dry brushing only works when you have a really nice dark base coat. So as you can see, you just put it all over the rock and then let it dry. So I'm just gonna keep going here, and I'll be back with you guys in a minute. So, in the meantime that the other rock is drying, we're gonna do this one. This one is only gonna be wash paints. No direct paint on it or no dry brushing. Only, yes, wash. For that, I'm gonna use just a little bit of black. Just a little. It's gonna be needed to make the shadows. What I do now is get some water, not too much, just a little, and find myself a thin brush. And I will stir this up. So as you can see, it's maybe 1 part paint and about 3 or 4 parts water. What you're gonna do is get yourself a brush that's a little bit harder, like this one. It's just a hard brush, but I cut it and I made it harder with a little bit of second glue. Oh, I don't know if you guys call it second glue, but super glue, that's what the word I was looking for. What you're gonna do is look at your rock and see where the shadows would be. I want the rock, you know, on the side of my diorama. So these sides are going to be the sides that need some washing as a shadow. So just, you know, get your brush and get it in there, in between the cracks, so it doesn't stay white. We can fix that in a later stage, but you know, I don't want to fix it later because it looks more natural when you get everything done in that first layer. So just get enough of that black wash on it, and just find those little cracks that you would think they're darker. I will finish this up and be back with you with the next step. So it really looks weird now, doesn't it? You go like, what did you just do? Well, anyway, I will fix that in the next step. What you do is get some umber wash, get some water, and even dilute this wash even further. So I think this is going to be a little bit too much water, so let me get that in order. Yeah, that's better. It was way too much. I'm gonna put about 3, 4, 5, 6 drops of this wash, and I'm gonna get my brush, and as you can see, it's really diluted. It's not that brown, so I'm gonna add just a little bit. Let me see. Oh, that was not the idea. Let me get 1 drop of burnt umber in there, which is no wash, it's just only pigment, if something comes out anyway. Well, that's the downside with doing everything on video. It doesn't always work the way you want. But anyway, there are about 2 drops of burnt umber in there. So I'm going to stir it up. As you can see, the wash is getting a little bit darker. And make sure you see all that pigment, you know, going away and not staying in that water. It always needs a good stirring. And what I'm going to do now is just drip it over the rock. Same as we did before, only now we're going to use the brown. As you can already see. And the downside of using cast, I have to say, is it soaks up the water like a maniac. But, you know, it is what it is. The end result is the most important thing. And I have to say, doing it like this, in those 2 ways, I really enjoy how the rocks turn out. So let me get this finished, and I'll be back with you with the next step. So, before we move on, these are the base coats on both rocks. This is the base coat from the basalt gray, diluted with a little bit of water. This is the base coat with the little black shadows we put on, and with the diluted umber wash. So now we can move on to the next step. I'm gonna end up making this rock how I want it to be completely, so we can move on to the other one. As I said, this one only gonna be used dry brushing. So let's do it. So moving on for the dry brushing, what you're gonna need is a brush that's like really hard, like this. 2 similar ones because I'm gonna use 2 different colors. I'm gonna use the stone gray. That's the color I'm gonna use first. Then I'm gonna use the silver gray on top of that. But first things first, let's get working with that stone gray. The idea of dry brushing is you put some paints on a little towel. You get your brush, get just a little bit on there. Just brush it a little bit along. And what I like to do is I go with my brush from the left to the right and make sure you don't overdo it with the brush strokes. As you can already see, you get highlights on your rock. Just, you know, try to get it into places that it looks good to you. It's not always, you know, about, I cannot tell you where to put it. It's just a feeling you have, and when you look at your rock, you go like, well, I need a little bit over here. I need a little bit over here. You know, that's just your own opinion. Everybody has his own tastes about making these rocks. And you just need to do what feels right for you. So when I look at this rock, in a minute I'm going to turn it over, and there's just a little piece broke off. Nothing to do about it. I'm just looking at it and go like, well, you know, I like this side, but that's still not okay for me. I'm just going to get a little bit more paint and try to get in there a little bit more. You can see there's hardly any paint on it. Just try to rub it in. You can already see, you know, you get depth differences. You can see the cracks. Yeah, and I really think this is getting, yeah, the way I want it, the way it's supposed to be. Just checking it here for a minute, and that piece broke off. I will fix that later. Well, this works for me, so I'm gonna leave it like this. And what we're gonna do now is get a new piece, a clean brush, and what you're gonna do with your silver gray, just exactly the same. Put a little bit of your silver gray on the towel, the clean brush, and do the same dry brushing technique as you did before, only now the only thing I do is I brush over it from top to bottom. So I really only get some pieces that are higher, as you can see. And it's already getting a little bit lighter. These are the pieces I want because the sun's on there. And, you know, if the sun's on there, there are going to be a little bit lighter spots on that rock. So let me finish that up, and I'll show you when it's done. So the end result of the dry brushing rock looks like this. I have to say this is my favorite, but it all depends what you're gonna need it for. So this is one, and I already did another one. As you can see, both rocks do really look like rocks. So this was the dry brushing technique. We're gonna move on with the other rock I showed you with the washes. So let's get those rocks and let's get them done. So this is the rock with the wash after drying. As you can see, the parts that were black are still a little bit dark for the shadows. And that's the way it's supposed to be. What I'm gonna do now with this rock is I really want to have some, like it looks like there's some grass and moss and stuff like that on it. So I'm gonna take some black green, again, get some water, get some green in there, not a lot, just a little, about, well, I think about 2 drops, give it a good stir. As you can see, there was a little bit of black still in that lid from before, but that's okay. Then the green only gets a little tint darker. No worries for that. Make sure you clean your brush before you put it on your rock, because as you probably can still see, there's still some black in there. So that needs to be fixed before you put it on. Good stirring. Now it looks, yeah, now it looks better. So clean up your brush and just get your brush in the places where you would, you know, like grass to be shown, or that you think grass would be. Just put the wash on there. You know, don't be afraid you would overdo it. And again, you need to do this in the way you think you like it, and you know, where you want the grass. You're the master of your own artistic work. So that's the upside. You can do what you want. Nothing is wrong. As long as you think it looks amazing and beautiful. That's the most important thing. So as you can see, the green is really staying in there a little bit. No, it doesn't have to be perfect. You can see when it starts to dry up how it looks. It's always hard when the paint's still wet. It gives you a little idea, but not the end result. You have to wait till it's dry. You know, and just think, did this look really cool? Just try to let this water green run down, where you also put the black. And the great part of it, when you dilute it this much, it usually finds its own way. Like it would be, you know, find its way in a natural habitat. So and sometimes you go, you know, in here and do a little bit more, or in here. Again, it's just what you want. So I'll get this done and let it dry, and I'll be back with you. So guys, these are the rocks. On the left side over here are the rocks that I did with the dry brushing technique. Over here it's with the washes. As you can see, like I told you in my previous video, I wanted to show you guys the tin foil parts. These. Somehow I used the same paints, same washes, and those two rocks look totally different than the one I made with the tin foil. I know where these are going. These are going into the trash can because I am not happy about them at all. As you can see here, this one is reasonable, you know, for use somewhere that you would not see everything. But I find it, you know, it's not my thing. I'm really more happy with the molds, and looks more like rocks than the tin foil ones. And you can do a lot more with these rocks. For instance, the brown ones, if you want to have some grass on it extra instead of only the green wash, what you can do is, you know, glue on some green sawdust. That's not for this video. This video was about two brushing techniques. So again, this side, the dry brushing technique. This side, the only with washes technique. I don't really think there's a technique name for it, but you only use washes. No pigment paints. Anyway, I'll be back with you in a minute to wrap it up. So, I hope you liked the tutorial about painting the rocks in two different ways. You can do a lot more ways with the paint jobs on the rocks or on other items. You can use some extra grass on the rocks, but that's for another tutorial. This one was about painting. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you keep watching my videos. Subscribe down below on my channel. Hit the alarm button so you know when a new video is coming online. And of course, please follow me on my Facebook and my Instagram and my website. Guys, thanks for watching. See you later.